In New York, a van drives up to the Manhattan Trust Bank, where a group of thieves disguised as painters get out. The bank is full of customers, and at that moment one of the criminals enters and disables the cameras, at the same time as the others secure the door and order everyone to get down on the floor. One of the officers outside hears the chaos and approaches the door, and upon seeing the situation informs the police force of the robbery in progress. Quickly, officers rush to the scene, and after setting up a security perimeter, detectives Frazier and Mitchell prepare to negotiate with the robbers. Meanwhile, at the bank, the robbers lead the hostages to a secure room and order them to hand over their phones and other belongings, assuring them that they will return everything at the end of the robbery. They obey, except for one of the workers who says he forgot his phone at home. After going through his office, the robbers find his cell phone on the floor, so they brutally beat him to send a message to the others, threatening them to obey orders and cooperate. Next, they ask the hostages to undress, and then give them painters' overalls and masks so that they all look like the robbers. Later, an elderly man begins to have a panic attack, and when the criminals alert him that he has a heart problem, they release him. Outside, the policemen hold him, and the man tells them that he was released to warn them that if they try to enter, they will start killing them all. At that moment, the chairman of the bank's board of directors, Arthur, calls Madeline to ask for help about the robbery that is happening in his bank. The man comments to her that he has a safe deposit box there, with personal belongings, and asks the girl to protect the box at all costs, as it cannot be known what is inside. Back at the bank, the robbers go to a room that is used as a storage room, and after moving some shelves they begin to make some modifications to the room. Outside, Captain Darius informs the detectives about the hostage they released, and based on what he told them, they assume there are 4 robbers. Minutes later, the detectives attempt to call the bank, but the robbers decide not to answer the phone. At that moment, the police see movement at the door, and discover that they have released another hostage with a briefcase hanging from his neck. They reduce him, and seeing that he is an Arab, they do not give him the best treatment, but the man decides to help by telling them what little he knows. Upon observing the briefcase, the police discover a message from the robbers, who ask them to have 2 buses and a plane ready by 9 p.m., assuring that they will kill a hostage for every hour they are late. Suddenly, Arthur enters the room and offers his help to meet the robbers' demands, but the officers thank him and tell him that they have everything under control. Some time later, they receive another message from the bank, asking them to deliver some food for the hostages. The police see this as an opportunity to plant a bug and steal some information, so they hide a small recording device in a pizza box. They leave the food at the door, and the robbers quickly leave to pick it up. Seizing the moment, Frazier tries to talk to one of them, asking them to answer the phone, but the robber doesn't say a word. After a while, the officers listen to the recording they got from the microphone they hid in the box, but it turns out to be in a foreign language. Discovering that it is in Albanian, the officers call a woman from Albania to translate the conversation, but it turns out that the audio is nothing more than a recording of an old Albanian president's speech. Upon hearing this, Captain Darius realizes that the robbers are always one step ahead of them, and assumes that they just want to buy time, but they still can't figure out their plan. At that point, we see the robber who came up with the plan, Dalton, in the bank vault with all the money at his disposal. However, Dalton doesn't seem very interested in the money, and instead, goes along with one of his associates in the robbery to open safe deposit box 392, where he finds a series of documents, which seems to be what they are really after. At the same time, the mayor of the city arrives at the bank along with Madeline to have a conversation with Detective Frazier. The girl introduces herself and says she wants to be part of the team, and after convincing him and the mayor for a while the detective accepts. Hours later, the detective calls again and this time Dalton answers. Frazier tells him that he doesn't know if he will be able to have a plane ready by 9 o'clock as the criminals had requested, but Dalton just repeats that he will start killing hostages if they don't comply with his requests. Meanwhile, the other robbers continue with the renovations in the warehouse, making a large hole in the floor, which they say will serve them as a bathroom. In the evening, Frazier calls the bank again and this time lets Madeline talk. The girl negotiates with Dalton, and she promises him a safe exit if he meets her conditions, so Dalton invites her into the bank so they can have a better talk. With some hesitation, the team finally allows Madeline to enter, and once there, the robbers check her to make sure everything is in order. Madeline then talks to Dalton and offers them a very light sentence and $2 million, and her only condition is that they protect the documents in safe deposit box 392. However, Dalton tells her that he already knows who she works for, revealing that Arthur was a collaborator of Nazi Germany during World War II, who stole a lot of money from a Swiss bank during the conflict. After this, Dalton shows her that he already has the documents from the box, which prove everything he said, and plans to use them as collateral to get them released in case the police catch them. When Madeline leaves the bank, the girl has a conversation with Frazier, but she obviously doesn't tell him anything and lies to him, saying that the robbers are evaluating his proposal. Later, Darius and the detectives meet to discuss the possible plan of the criminals, when Frazier suspects that maybe they are just distracting them to buy time. The man decides to go ahead, and calls the bank saying that they will have the plane ready as requested, but will not deliver it to him until he can verify that all the hostages are okay. Dalton accepts and invites him to the bank, and upon entering the bank the criminals take him to the room where they are holding the hostages. The man talks to them, and seeing that they are all okay, he promises that he will soon get them out of here. Before leaving, Frazier once again suggests to the robbers to surrender, saying that they don't stand a chance, but the robbers are not so sure about that. As they approach the door, the detective pounces on him and tries to pull off his mask, but his companions quickly move in to help him. After kicking Frazier out, Dalton goes to the warehouse with his partners, and asks how long until the renovations are finished, to which they reply that it's only a couple of hours. Outside, Frazier talks to the captain and says that he fought with them inside, and is sure that they are not murderers. However, at that moment Dalton calls him and asks them to point the cameras at a window, where they see one of the hostages being executed in front of them. Upon seeing this, Captain Darius holds Frazier responsible for the death of the innocent man, so he removes him from the case and says that he will handle the situation. As expected, Darius summons the tactical team, and together they plan a way to enter the bank and neutralize the robbers. Frazier, who insists on continuing to help in the case, once again checks the briefcase the robbers gave them, discovering that it has a hidden microphone, so the robbers were aware of their every move. However, the captain decides to go ahead. Hearing this, Dalton throws smoke bombs, and quickly orders all the hostages out of the bank before the tactical team enters. Outside, the officers order all civilians to the ground and arrest them, and when they have the situation under control they allow the tactical team to enter the bank. They scour the place in search of the robbers, but after investigating all the rooms they advise that the place is empty and there is no sign of the criminals. The captain and the detective soon enter the bank, and after investigating discover that the robbers appear not to have stolen anything. All the money is in the vault, even the guns they used are toy guns, and the execution of one of the hostages was nothing more than staged. On Darius' orders, the police take the hostages to the police station to investigate them, but they have no hard evidence that the robbers are mixed up with them, so they let everyone go free, and after some time decide to close the case. Frazier understands, but doesn't give up and decides to continue on his own. Later, the man checks the documents and discovers that box 392 in the bank is undeclared, and after some thought he realizes that Madeline might be behind it. Seeing this, the detective goes to talk to her, and after berating her about the safe deposit box, threatening to tell the captain to look into it, the woman reveals part of the story, but asks him not to tell anything. Later, Madeline goes to talk to Arthur and tells him that Frazier knows her secret, but what is really worrying is that the criminal Dalton has the documents in his possession, and could use them against him at any time. Arthur knows this, and reveals to him that in the box he also kept uncut diamonds, and a very expensive ring that belonged to one of his Jewish friends, whom he betrayed because the Germans paid him very well. A week later, Dalton tells the story of how he carried out the robbery. The man was all this time hidden in the bank, in a small hidden room they built at the back of the storage room. Dalton has the documents, the diamonds and the ring, and he seizes the right moment to come out of hiding, escaping on foot as if he were a simple customer. His team is waiting outside to pick him up, at which point they alert him that Frazier and Mitchell have arrived at the bank, but he's not worried. Dalton bumps into Frazier as he is leaving the bank, but the detective doesn't recognize him and continues on. Frazier talks to the bank manager, and shows him a warrant to open safe deposit box 392, but inside he finds a piece of gum, along with a diamond ring and a note that says "Follow the ring." Seeing this, the detectives go to talk to Arthur and ask him about the safe deposit box, saying they know there is something strange behind it, but the man reveals nothing. Frazier shows him the ring, assuring him that he will go to jail for the crimes committed, and after this he goes to talk to Madeline, to whom he gives a pen that functions as a hidden recording device. The detective asks her to use it to obtain evidence incriminating Arthur, asking her to report him to the War Crimes Office. Upon returning home, Frazier finds a diamond in his pocket, and quickly realizes that Dalton put it there when he stumbled upon it at the bank, as he recalls that Dalton himself had sworn to him that he would walk out of there through the front door, in front of them and unnoticed. Subscribe and turn on notifications to see more videos like this. Leave a like to help the channel out, and thank you for watching.